What's happening, guys? I gotta make an introduction. Obviously, it's my first video. You need to know who you're watching. Um, I've I've made this, I don't know, 17 gazillion times. Every time so far, something goes wrong, I shut the camera off, I restart. I'm not doing that anymore. On this channel, you're gonna see me stutter, say weird stuff, hear me breathing. People are gonna walk in. I don't care. I'm done worrying about that. I mean, it's getting out of control. I just filmed one a minute ago. My neighbors walk by, I hear them start laughing, then I realize what they see and hear is me talking to a light socket, or so it seems. You know, whatever. Anywho, I'm Jim. I'm from Ohio. I like messing with anything with motors. New cars, old cars, motorcycles, mopeds. Mopeds are cool. I'm a little bit big for a moped. I still ride them. Don't make fun of me. You know, cool stuff like that. So, if you like stuff like that, you might like this channel. I'm going to go ahead and forewarn you, though. I would say more times than less, this ends in what I'd like to call misery. Things blow up. Things catch on fire. Stuff just doesn't really work out. But we make the best of it. That sounds like a good time to you? You found a good channel. Now let's introduce you to the car we're going to be messing with today. This is my car. This is a 1964 Chevrolet Biscayne. You want to know what's cool about an old car? An old car has history. And today, we're going to start by telling the history of this car. This car was bought, obviously, in 1964 by a woman who lives in North Royalton, Ohio. It stayed with her till about 1993, when I do believe she passed away and sold in her estate sale. Then it was bought by another man who lived in Brunswick, Ohio. And from what I can tell, him and his family enjoyed it till about '04. I don't know what happened. They probably got a new car. This one couldn't offer them what they needed. You know, then it sat under a tree for the next 25, 30 years until this guy right here came along and said, I am going to enjoy that car now. So, I made an offer, they accepted, and we took it home. I'll insert a few pictures right here to show you what kind of shape this was in about 2 weeks ago. I do believe it had its own ecosystem growing on it. Everything from that tree had fallen on this car for the last 25 or so years. And I think it was growing like turf or something. I don't know. This stuff was probably worth money that came off of it. I'm sure it could have made a football field or something. But we've since got it all washed up. Dawn Platinum. Best stuff in the world. Scrubbed the heck out of it. Then I decided to put some headlights in it because the other ones were really bad. I think when you turned them on, you could actually see less. And then some other stuff that I've done to it. Back it out here. Here we go. So, I lowered it about 2.5 inches in the front and 3 in the rear. I did it the really expensive way. I actually chopped the springs. Still rides great. It's an old car for you. They don't care if you chop a little spring off. Cleaned up the fuel system. It was actually still in pretty decent shape. Cleaned it up, got it running, got all the gauges working. Had to beat on the clutch a little bit to get her unlocked, but that's all right. Then we did Poppy's patina. Unfortunately, the Poppies I got was a lot older than I was led to believe, and it streaked real bad. You win some, you lose some. Not a big deal. You're going to hear me refer to this car as Marge the Barge. All my cars get names. This one, obviously, the Barge. This thing is very big. Resembles a barge. 2, Marge. It looks like Marge Simpson's hair, I swear. Okay, you want to see inside. Settle down. We're going. We're going. I'll show you all the options that this thing has. We got gauges. We got those all working. Fuel gauge. Even the dummy lights work. We got a horn. It even sounds like a tugboat. And that's it. That's all for the options. The carpet, it resembles a pair of Levi Strauss jeans that you find in a freaking gold cave. I don't know. Coolest option of Marge the Barge right here. You can buy all the new cars that you want. You ain't gonna get something cool like this. That's cool. You don't think so? We're gonna have to fight. A lot of people think that Marge the Barge here has the perfect patina. You see it up there. It's got awesome rust on the roof, rust on the fenders. Unfortunately, it's not perfect. Marge has some really bad patina as well. Fenders gone, dog legs gone, quarter panels flapping. But I think a turbo can fix this stuff. So under the hood of this fine piece of machinery, we have a 230 Turbo Thrift. Not sure why they call it a Turbo Thrift. It doesn't even have a turbo. For now, anyways. We have to make that valve cover make sense. So that's what we're going to do today. What do you mean you don't know how a turbo system works? Let me educate you. Here's my top secret turbo plans. They were drawn up by a scientist at NASA. Don't believe me? You better. See this 230? This is an inline 6 from 1964. You can obviously see that. It looks exactly like it. What's this little clear worm, you ask? Well, that's the exhaust. And what you got to do is cobble it up and then put a Hiroshima war whistle on it. Now, what's this? That's a wastegate. If you don't have one of those, you'll split your whole block in half, kid. This is the charge pipe. Charge pipe usually have a blow-off valve right around here, but we don't have one. Why don't we have one? It's because I can't afford one, so we're just not going to use it. Now, how this all works is the exhaust goes up here, spins the wheel. This wheel right here will pull in air and shove it down into your 60s carburetor that obviously loves boost because it says Turbo Thrift on the side of it. Okay, so the first thing that I've done was I cut the flange off of the factory exhaust, and then obviously I welded a V-band onto it so that way we can step it up to the 2.5-inch stainless pipe that we're going to use. These are all scraps from previous turbo projects, but yeah, we're going to use the factory flange and then run the turbo up and in the engine bay. We'll probably come off of it with a 180 or so, and that will be had by that little thing there. Now, this will probably be the only thing that I MIG weld. The rest of it, I'll just go ahead and TIG weld it up. All right, now that we get that piece made, you can see that it's going to redirect the exhaust to come up this way. Ideally, what we want here is a turbo to sit right in this area. So now we just gotta, make some stuff, add some pipe, get the pipe to come up in this area and sit. Alright, so we're at the part where we require a wastegate install. Wastegates are one of the most important parts of any turbo setup. It is going to make sure that your motor doesn't overboost and blow the head into your passenger seat. So, the easiest way that I've found to do it is to cut a fish mouth. like that. This is scrap. This is all scrap stuff from other turbo kits we built. But you cut a fish mouth, doesn't have to look perfect, anything like that. Just has to close up. Get the gaps in there. Alright guys, and just like that, we are welded up. Yeah, I don't know. It looks alright. I did end up MIG welding that. Plain and simple. I mean, I can make 1,000 excuses on why, but it's hot out, and I'm fat, and I'm not trying to sit out here for 3 hours and fit that so I can TIG weld it. Sorry, just not really into it. That weld's gonna work just as good. I mean, we're not getting real max effort with this old girl. A couple pounds of boost and we'll be more than happy. So let's get this thing back on and make a mount that'll bolt onto the motor to help support this thing, and then we can move on. Alright guys, so before we could do the final assembly of the turbo on the car, we have to get our lines ran. This is obviously our turbo feed, which supplies the oil, and turbo drain, which gets rid of the oil. Both of these lines are pretty important, but the turbo drain, you really have to get this right. I think a lot of failures on turbos are, they correspond with this turbo drain. You want a sufficient size and you want a sufficient place. So this is probably about the most jank way you can do a turbo drain. And I'm not even sure I should show you, but I'm gonna. So what we do is, okay, right here, we create a little punch, a short one, sharp, so it can punch through the oil pan down here. See that hole? And what you want it to do is rip through it and push the metal back, so then you can take your, your tap and use the metal it pushed back to create threads on, so you can put a fitting in it. You always want to make sure that your oil drain is towards the front of your oil pan. If you put your oil drain where your oil's at, say you punch a hole and a bunch of oil starts leaking out, you know that's not the right spot. The turbo's not going to be able to drain oil where the level is over top of the drain. There's not a bunch of pressure in there, so it's not like it's pushing the oil in. It's just gravity fed. So always remember that. Another thing, when you're getting ready to tap this, always make sure you put a good amount of grease on this. So when you're tapping this, this grease is actually going to catch the metal shavings instead of them going in your oil and destroying your motor. Now, with that being said, don't do it like this. Just pull the oil pan off and weld it up. Alright, we're at like a pretty legitimate part of this project here. So, the hot side pipe is made. We still got to mount a wastegate, and I'd like to make a brace that goes over to the motor somewhere to help hold this turbo up. But the turbo is mounted. I don't care who you are, that's cool. Pretty cool stuff. Still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with the exhaust yet. It'd be cool to run it out the hood, but I'm not willing to sacrifice it. So we're going to have to snake her down in there somewhere and let her blow all over the ground. And there you got it. After about 20 minutes of cussing and a bunch of pounding with a hammer, we got an oil drain. So the charge pipe stuff is not going to be here for about a week. Just ordered it from China. From what I know, they're putting it in a submarine so they can avoid tariffs on the way over here. But it will be here. They said they were going to float that thing right up the river and dump it off in my backyard. But until then, we have made something here, and it is beautiful. Utilizing the stock cold air pat thing, we got a piece of exhaust pipe and a hose clamp that looks like something from a Slim Fast video, the way it's squeezing that thing. We're about to make a downpipe and go for a drive. Me in the process. That's fine. Chill out. I'll be back. No big deal. So, yeah, let's give it a shot and see what happens. Hey, James, will you grab a jack stand and throw it under the front tire? I'm honestly a little scared to push an e-brake on this. Seems how it's 190 years old. All right. Pulling her out of gear. Is it spinning? As you can see, that turbo is shaking like a cougar on TikTok. This thing's gonna need some bracing, but we're spinning, we're fired up. Dear God, we built us a race car. All right, change of plans. I was just gonna wait and build a really nice downpipe for this, but I gotta go for a ride in this thing. It wants it so bad. So I grabbed my Sawzall, I snuck out to my neighbor's F-250 and I stole his downpipe off of it. It's here, it works. We pulled the hood off this old girl so that way she runs cool, and if the light's on fire, we can see it fast enough to put it out. We'll check back in from in-car.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Cummins. Hopefully it at least makes it to Underbook Garage. That way if it breaks down, I'll just leave it there. He can have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This thing's on rails, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's like a crew cab Z06.
This thing's like if you ordered a Z06 and it came in a shipping container and you drove the shipping container.
All right, guys, this will be the final thought for the video and kind of a outro here. Let you guys know what we're going to see later on with probably the next video. Through and through, should you turbo your 60s inline 6? Are you mental? Yeah. Anything's better with a turbo. You can put a turbo on a banana and it's going to be better, okay? Yes, turbo it. Now, we do have a couple oil leaks here. She's a leaker, you know? If you floorboard it in first, she's a squirter. So, we have a couple things that we have to get figured out. That'll be for the next video. Also in the next video, we're gonna make a real downpipe for this, put it underneath the car, get the hood back on it, and make a real charge pipe. I also plan to mess around with the timing a little bit. I think if we pull some timing on this, it might make for some cooler noises and stuff of that nature. But all in all, I'd say it's a pretty big success. We've probably put 5, maybe what, James, 10 miles on it? Something like that. And it seems to be happy. It's not having a hard time at all. So, yeah. Is it any faster? Not at all. Is it cooler? Yeah. So, hopefully you guys liked it. And if not, fight me.